Well, hello there, and welcome to the Thrive on Plants podcast. I have a very special episode for you today. With me, I have another one of our amazing coaches from the Vegan Superhero Academy. Coach Gemma is a unique person in that she brings to our team a set of skills that I think you are going to highly value. Gemma's going to help us learn more about bringing women into their power, helping us with our mobility, our flexibility, and more importantly, our posture. Because we know today, especially for those of us like myself who sit behind a desk 18, 20 hours a day, that our posture is poor and that has repercussions across many aspects of our life. So, I'm Dr. Daphne Bascom. You are listening to the Thrive on Plants podcast, and let's go ahead and welcome Coach Gemma to Thrive on Plants. Gemma, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Daphne.
Gemma, I want to learn more about you, but before we do, I'd love to kick off with a couple of quick fire myth busting questions. You game?
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
True or false? Women will get bulky if they lift weights.
That would be false.
True or false? Posture doesn't really matter as long as you're exercising.
Another false one. Posture does matter. We'll get into that later.
True or false? Plant-based women can't get enough protein to build muscle.
Absolutely false.
True or false? Pain and mobility issues are just part of aging.
Another false one.
And finally, true or false? Strength training is only for the young.
Another absolutely false.
I chose those questions intentionally, but I'm interested to see what you have to say about them in detail. But before we get there, I would love for you to share more about your own journey with the community. You have an amazing athletic background. I feel like you've been breaking barriers and doing many of the things that you've accomplished in your life. Can you share what drew you into health and fitness?
For me, it started very young. I think it's because my brother wanted a goalkeeper to shoot at while I was practicing football. So when I was 6, he pulled me in the back garden and he was like, I'm going to teach you how to play football.
Uh-huh.
And that started my obsession with football, or soccer in America. And I played football for 15 to 16 years.
Wow.
I was called up to England. I was scouted for England, but never managed to go to the trials because I had a knee injury.
Okay. So you were called up for a professional team.
Yeah. But I played a bunch of sports when I was younger. Like, sports for me they were such a huge part of my life. And they gave me a lot of life skills. And I think I owe where I am today, not only with my career, but with my mindset because of sports.
Okay.
And then when I was about 18, I had a friend who was a bodybuilder, and he was like, come to the gym with me. And I was like, I don't want to get bulky. So I went through that whole process, and he was like, I think you'll really love it. You'll really love strength training. I was like, yeah, but my legs are already big from football. I don't want to get them bigger. He was like, just try it and see how you feel. And I felt totally empowered. After 3 months, I absolutely fell in love with the sport, and my body changed dramatically. It was the body that I wanted to have, that I was trying to get through cardio and through eating a lot of carbohydrates because I got a fuel for that. And I was just kind of doing everything like a little bit, not wrong, but yeah, not in the best way possible. And then, yeah, that just sparked my passion for strength training. And then the mobility part came later when I went to America and worked with a training facility there while I was studying. Then we got into like the posture and mobility side of things, and then it kind of all came together.
So you went to university to study exercise science, or?
Yeah, I did biomechanics, or human movement with nutrition. And that degree was in England, where I'm from, just in case we don't know with the accent. But I did a study abroad in Arizona. So I was there for 1 year, and that was really great. I learned a lot while I was there.
Okay. And when you graduated, what did you do then? Now you have a degree in nutrition and biomechanics.
Alongside my degree, I got a personal training certificate. It's called REPS in England, Registered Exercise Practitioner, level 3. It's similar to like ACSM.
Okay.
And I got that, and I didn't want to live in England anymore. I didn't really want to work inside of a gym. I wanted to be outdoors. And my partner at the time was American. I was like, where do we want to live? I don't want to live in America. I don't want to live in England. Okay, where do we go? And then we decided on Spain. And then I worked in an exercise physiology lab at a university, just helping with research articles.
That sounds fun.
It was fun. I worked with athletes on increasing their vertical jump. And I kind of realised I want to be helping real people in the sense of real problems. So I thought, this is actually not for me. Long story short, ended up moving to the south of Spain and then opened up my own business with strength training and mobility on the beach.
Oh, that sounds...
So I got away from the exercise lab.
Sounds beautiful.
And then outside.
Yeah. And do you mind sharing a little bit about your vegan journey? Were you always a vegan, or what motivated you to pursue this? I don't know if it's just your nutrition or your lifestyle also.
I wasn't always a vegan. I've been vegan for about 6 years. Looking back, I had many, many moments throughout my life, even as a child, where I had a moment of questioning and thinking there's something that's not right about this. But it took me a long time to get there and realize, okay, now looking back, it all kind of makes sense. I had a couple of friends that were vegan. One of them was a great chef and introduced me to vegan food. But I think for me, the turning point was about 6 years ago. I had read a book by Jonathan Safran Foer called Eating Animals. And it was a great book because it was his moral and ethical dilemma while raising his daughter as to whether he should let her eat animals, because he kind of grown up vegetarian but sometimes ate meat at different events, and it was just his journey on what would be the right decision and is there an ethical way to do that.
Oh, interesting.
And to spoil the story, no, it's not. So every single page was this, I absolutely cannot eat animals or consume anything that comes from them.
And so that motivated you to do the same?
Yes, absolutely. So for me, it was the animal rights, and then the health part came a little bit later for me.
Okay. And so I'm assuming then that this wasn't part of what you learned in your nutrition degree?
Absolutely not, no. It's like the bare opposite. So that's also really interesting. No, it's like you think you're so smart because you go to university for 3-4 years and you read everything, and then later you find out, there's a different way to do that. That completely clicks and resonates with me. And I know for 100% certainty that that's my path. But now I have to look at this from a completely new lens. So it was exciting, but a little bit of an overwhelming process initially. Like, okay, how do I do this? Because I'm so used to doing it in this way. How do I now relearn something that I've been doing? And I think we all have that in some shape or form.
And were there others in your immediate circle or in your community that came along this journey with you?
No, nobody. I don't have anybody in my life that was vegan. So that was also a little bit challenging. My mother was slightly on board. Like, okay, yes, eat what you like when you come to visit. I can get you some things in. So she was great. But my friends struggled with it a lot. So I don't know why.
That's okay.
Each individual person makes their own decisions.
And how about when you were in Spain?
When I was in Spain, I had 1 or 2 friends that I ended up meeting. So it's funny how that happens. It's like you change something, then all of a sudden you start attracting people that are the same way. It's the same like with exercise, and I had that as well with veganism. I met 1 or 2 people that were really great and held my hand a little bit more on the path, even though I knew about nutrition. I didn't know that aspect of things. So it was like, oh yes, this is how you do this, and this is how you substitute an egg, and this is how you make those changes.
And were you concerned when you were transitioning about losing your gains, or about the impact that being fully plant-based would have on your overall health and your fitness and other goals that you were trying to achieve?
I knew it had to be healthier, because when I read the book and I learned about the way that animals were treated, because I thought for a long time, but if it's organic, it's okay. But when I learned that, I thought there's no way that this could possibly be healthy for me on the inside. So that's when I also had the light bulb moment of, this is 100% the healthiest diet for me. And I can meet all my nutrition this way. But there was that initial or maybe. And I think a lot of people have that.
Yes.
So that's why it's great to have resources available so that they can be pointed in that direction and know, oh, there's a different way of doing something and you can meet all your needs and requirements.
And coaches like you to help with that.
Yes, also. It's important you eat the vegan diet in the right way, that we're not having, a lot of times we go a little bit more the refined route or a lot of carbohydrates, and it's not like carbohydrates are bad, we know they're not. It's just finding the right balance between the macronutrients and making sure that we're getting the micronutrients in as well. And not falling for the same trap of the standard American diet where we're just shifting now, but to plant-based alternatives, but whole foods.
Which is a concern given the number of plant-based foods that are now more ultra-processed.
Right. I agree.
Let's turn and talk a little bit about your time at NAU. What drew you to train there, and what did you take away from that year abroad that you are applying to your coaching and that you applied when you started your business?
I think the biggest thing is in America, which I love, at the universities, you can pick and choose what topics you want to take. At England, it's not like that.
Interesting.
So I have like my 4 classes that I absolutely have to take, and then I have one option. But maybe that option is something like nutrition through the life cycle or nutrition for athletes. But it's still very specific to what they believe you must learn in order to go into the area career that you choose. In America, it's a little bit open. So I remember I took 2 classes. One of them was related to posture mobility, which is I ended up at this training facility. And the other one was, I forget the title, but it was about lifestyle transformation through behavior change.
Oh, that's interesting.
And that was a really fascinating class. And I think that has helped me a lot with my coaching because it's not just, okay, I just need to know how to write training programs or nutrition programs. No, I need to know how to talk to people. I need to know what people's pain points are. I need to know how to help them to make the changes that they need. I help them to see the barriers, but then to be able to dissolve their barriers and push beyond them. So I think that class was really vital for me to becoming a coach and for coaching people. Because I wanted to work with people in lifestyle intervention, in people that were overweight or in chronic pain or had slipped discs or more challenges.
And Gemma, what made you interested in chronic pain?
I think sometimes, the adage of a therapist becomes a therapist because they want to solve their problems. I think I had a little bit of that with my hip pain. Couldn't figure out what it was. And then when I had a posture assessment and they looked and they told me, okay, your hip is a little bit rotated and this is happening. And when you're doing this movement, do you feel pain right here? And she pressed right to the point where the pain was. And I was like, how do you know this? It's like, I can tell through your movement patterns. And I thought, I absolutely need to learn this. So that was a moment of thinking, okay, there's a right way to train and this is what I need to do in order to make this lifelong.
Did you require any special training to focus on posture and mobility, or was this, what I'm hearing you say is that you were trying to solve your own problem, and in seeking the answer to your hip pain, you actually opened up a whole door of opportunity for ways that you can help your clients and other people that you come into contact with?
Yeah, and it's hard to find a degree in that. I didn't really want to go the route of physical therapy because I thought about that for a long time. But I really wanted to do it from more of a holistic point of view. And I felt that this was such an important piece that was missing in my holistic training that I needed in order to help people. So with the physical therapy, they don't really work on nutrition so much. They don't really work on lifestyle. It's like you come in, you're in pain, let's do this assessment, and then let's give you these stretches or these movements. But a lot of time when I was hearing from my clients is, I go to physical therapists and it's not helping. And that's not to bash on physical therapists. I'm sure there's great ones, but it was something I was hearing over and over again. And I thought, I don't know if that's the right route. So how about I just take this piece and like bring it into my training? So I think for me, it's not a certification that I got on paper, but it's been through 10 years of training people and working with very different bodies and then seeing the similarities that are occurring with certain postures or certain limitations in hips, knees and ankles. Like, okay, this is kind of a common pattern with this sort of issue.
And maybe it would be helpful to define for everyone listening or watching, what is posture?
Okay, so posture is the position that your body takes in space within certain positions. So I have a standing posture, I have a seated posture, I have a laying down posture, I have a posture in squats, in deadlifts, in different movements. And we're looking at the alignment of the body. So how does each joint stack on top of each other in a specific movement? So if we're looking at, there might be a postural deviation, like we're moving away from that center line, then we know that that's somewhere maybe we need to start. So if I have a person in front of me that their ankles line up with their knees, but their hips move a little bit forward, then that's going to tell me something about how they're going to move in different movements and potentially what muscles are going to be tight and weak.
And why is posture so important?
I think it's important because if we don't have good posture, and over time, the body just wants to do the most efficient thing. So if I spend a lot of time on my computer and I'm rounding my shoulders and I'm hunching forward, the body thinks, okay, we're in this position a lot, so therefore let's just keep the shoulders rounded, let's keep the upper back rounded, let's keep the hips pushed down and the ribs compressed, because we need to make this more efficient. But over time, that leads to reduced lung capacity, so our breathing gets off. That leads to a lot of issues on the posterior chain, like on the back of the body. It leads to pain. It leads to not being as strong as I could be if I could release those tight muscles and work on my mobility. Also, our confidence. Like, if we're in pain, also, it's hard to be confident and live our life. Like, quality of life, I think, is number one for me. So I think it's a really fundamental area to look at and assess to make sure that you can continue living and doing what it is, ever it is that you love.
And how do you, as a coach, assess, especially as a virtual coach, assess quality of life, posture, and you also mentioned mobility, which is different from posture.
I don't have like a preset thing that I do when it comes to quality of life. I mean, the basics in like how stressed are you? How much water are you drinking? What's your sleep like? But I usually ask my client, is quality of life something that is important to you?
Right.
I just want to check first. Because maybe if somebody has a different goal. It's like, and then if the answer is yes, then it's like, okay, what does a great quality of life look like for you? What are you doing? What does your life look like? How are you in your body? And then I kind of go from there. When it comes to posture, it's a little bit more challenging online, but it's 100% doable. The way that I usually do it is I have my clients, if they're comfortable, send me 3 photos of themselves from front, side and back, head to toe, shoes and socks off so I can see their feet. And I will just look at those pictures and then I will see where maybe there's a little deviation. And then from there, I'll do like a mobility screen where like, okay, let's do this hamstring stretch. What do you notice when you're doing it? So I'll have them record or send pictures and then also give me feedback. How do you feel? Is this position painful for you? Does it feel tight? Is there an imbalance between left and right? And then the wonderful thing is it becomes a puzzle that comes back to you and then you start putting everything together. So that's really great. I think that's a very fascinating part of my job that I really love.
And are you finding more people that you're coaching having posture and mobility problems?
Yes, I think they go hand in hand.
And what does mobility mean to you? What is mobility?
Mobility is the range of motion that I have around a joint. So a lot of the time people think flexibility and mobility is like the same thing. Kind of, in a way, but it's flexibility. Usually we're talking about muscles. So like how can I lean forward and touch my toes? So that's going to be hamstring flexibility. With mobility, it's going to be more, can I get into a deep squat? I'm looking at my hips. Can I flex my ankle? How far into dorsiflexion can I go? So usually mobility is the available range of motion that I have around a joint.
Okay, that's interesting.
That was a very clinical answer. I hope it makes
No, it makes 100% sense. And I want to differentiate because I do find people kind of blend the two of them. That mobility and flexibility are kind of the same, but they're not 100%.
Right.
Why? So when you're coaching a client and you're assessing not only their quality of life, their mobility, their flexibility. How do you tie mobility and flexibility into their program in terms of reducing the risk of injury, ensuring that they are performing their exercises appropriately and safely, because those are also likely to be impacted by mobility and flexibility?
Oh, that's a great question. So I always tell people there's many different exercises that we can do. That's why we have an array of squats and hinges and push and pull movements. But one of them, or a few of them, are going to suit you and where you are, goals aside, for what it is that you want to achieve. So I'll give an example because sometimes it's easier to go a bit more specific to explain. So let's say I have a person that has anterior pelvic tilt where their hips are rotated forward, so they have that excessive arch in their lower back and their bum sticks out. So with that position, probably a back squat is not going to be the best option for them. And the reason why is because their lower back muscles are usually very tight and engaged because they're constantly in that position. Their core is usually not as engaged, not as strong as the back, which means that when they're doing a back squat, there's going to be a bit more forward leaning to kind of pull them out of alignment. And when they lift out of that squat, they're going to use their lower back, usually, not always. And that is just going to kind of compound the issue.
Yeah.
So if I had a person that had that posture, aside from doing some other things related to glutes and back and core, I would say a front squat or like a kettlebell goblet squat is going to be a great squat for you. Because that's what that's going to do is it's going to give us a front load. So the spine's going to be relaxed now. Our pelvis is going to be easier to get into neutral rather than sticking out too much. And we're going to train you how to use your core.
Okay.
So that's how I like that, but with different exercises, that's how I like to approach it.
So your programming is really assessing where they are, and then structuring the program so that it allows them to start to correct any imbalances, but does it in a safe fashion while they're also starting to make progress in meeting their goals.
Right. So if I have someone that's like, oh, but I love back squatting, I will ask them like, okay, we could do that, or we could do front squatting and then work this, and this out. And eventually we can get back to back squatting. We don't have to say goodbye to back squatting forever. This happened to me. They took back squatting away from me when I went for my posture assessment. And I had 110 kilograms and I weighed 58.
Oh,
so I was
10 kilos.
Yes. So I was going for like 120.
Wow.
I wanted to get 2 times my body weight.
Okay.
And when I went in, I had hip pain. And I remember the question very clearly, like, do you want to work on this and we can work on your SI joint and we can work on these issues that you're having and I believe we can fix your pain. And then we come to back squatting. Or do you want to go for some PRs? And I thought, well, not PRs then. I'll go for this. So I like to always give people the option. What is it that you would like to do? This is my plan for you. What do you like to do? You have to have your client on board. They have to.
It has to be clear.
And it needs to be their goal, right? So I think that's really important.
I agree. So Gemma, I've spoken with a lot of women who have performed at high levels as an athlete. And frequently, one of the things I hear is that they often are coached under almost the diet mentality, where there's a small is good, eat less, move more. Is this something that you encountered when you were playing football? And if not, why do you think that was the case?
I didn't personally experience that. I'm not sure if others did. But I think in England, it's a little bit different to the American system from what I've seen, which is only a little. But there wasn't really that side of things. It was just a focus on make sure you're fueling for the game. I mean, diet culture is everywhere, especially for women. So I had that message given to me in several different ways. I don't know if necessarily it came more from my football coach or not. I do remember with one of the other girls that was on the team at the time when we were like 14, 15, he had mentioned something to her about needing to lose weight to be on the team. It didn't really apply to the rest if you fit into the box of what you should look like. I don't know what that is when you're 15, but I think the experience was a little bit different.
Okay. And do you find, or did you experience yourself any issues with body confidence or body image as you were ascending through your football career?
Oh, yes. I think for me, I struggled when I started hitting puberty and developing.
Uh-huh.
I never wanted to develop breasts. And then I did. And I thought it got in the way of my running. I couldn't run as fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't know if I can't speak for every woman, but you just hit this age where everything is awkward. You're like 15, 16, 17. I'm not sure when it starts. And then you just start to feel very uncomfortable in your body. At least that's how I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my mother did a good job in raising me in that sense. But there were strange rules around the house. Like, oh, we're not going to eat this now. We're not going to eat that now.
Mm-hmm.
And I started developing a binge eating issue when I was 10, 11, I think. I was very stressed a lot when I was younger, and I felt I needed to be the best.
Okay.
And I had something to prove. So I had to be the best person on the football team. I had to be the best student. I had to be the best child. I just had to be the best at everything. And I think that was so much to handle. So then I would just eat chocolate away in my room.
Okay.
So I went through cycles of that
Okay.
throughout until I was about 28, I think.
And what happened then?
I don't know how to say this. I just started having a lot more self-compassion for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had gone to therapy a few years earlier, and we were looking at the chocolate because I always wanted a six-pack. And it was just this thing in my head that I wanted to achieve. But I knew that my binge eating of chocolate was getting in the way of that. So I just did the typical thing where you cut it out for 3 months, but then I would binge again.
Okay.
So I had these two very conflicting goals. And then I realized that it all stemmed in childhood. And I needed to have compassion for myself and what I went through, and know that it was okay that I was just comforting myself, and that it served a very important part in my life. Because even bad habits, if we're going to call it habits, they still serve something positive to us. Right. So it was serving this, oh, I can relax. I can just take a break from being the best, and I can just fill myself up with the things that I feel I'm lacking. So I think going through that realization of what it served and what it meant to me, and letting go of this obsession with a six-pack, like, that's okay. Because if to get there, and there's many ways to get there, but if this is my way of getting there, I don't really want to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. So I had a few times of like crying about everything and just letting it go. And yes, just having compassion for the little girl that I felt like she needed to do everything and be the best because she was really struggling in life. And I continued that way until I was like 28, 29. And then I don't know how it happened. It just started melting away. I think because I faced it.
Okay. And do you find, and thank you for sharing that, because I think it doesn't always melt away for many women. And how do you deal with this topic in women that you coach?
Oh, it's a topic that's still very sensitive to me. Like when clients share their binge eating or their issues with food, I completely relate. Mm-hmm. And there's like a rose spot inside of me that it still touches. And I think I try to give them the compassion that I never had. And I think, like, it's okay. There's not shame around that. You're doing it for your reasons. If you want to go the route of trying to explore your reasons, I'm here for that. If you want to listen, if you want to cry on the call, if whatever you need to help, do you want to work on that? Is that something you want to work on? Because maybe you're not ready. Because I was approached that by a coach that I had in my early 20s, and I just wasn't ready to go there because it was still serving this huge purpose for me in my life, and I wasn't ready to let it go. So when I was 28, I'm like, I'm ready to let it go. So I would ask my clients that, are you ready to face this, or how do you feel about it? And know that I'm here and we can go there together and we can work through this.
That's an amazing approach. Yeah. You open the door, but they have to be ready to step over.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sure the same applies with posture.
It does.
So you just hosted a class of double digit, maybe 30s or 40s, vegan superheroes here at our 2025 Vegan Superhero Retreat, where you focused on what? What did you share with our community related to all that you've learned, and how did you help them understand the importance of posture mobility and flexibility?
Well, I think breathing is something that we get wrong. Is that, yes, okay, I'm breathing.
Let's
So-
talk about breathing. Yeah.
So I started the class by having everyone lie down and just breathe and do 360 full expansion breathing through their front, through their side, and through their back. And I really wanted them to focus on that. Like, how does it feel when the air is coming in and expanding? And focusing on the breath, because a lot of the time we hold our breath and we don't know how to breathe properly. So that's number one, like starting that. And then I wanted to help people with finding neutral pelvis, because that's really important. It plays a large role in back pain. And a lot of the times when people are going into lifts, they're not starting the position in an optimal position. So it's like, okay, let's talk through pelvic tilting. And then from there, we just went through a series of exercises as I went round one by one, which was a bit ambitious. It's the achiever mode of 38 people of trying to give them each individual feedback. But it worked and it was good. Like, I managed to get around to everybody and just help them in a small way. Like, that deep squat looks great. Your foot's turning in a little bit. You have a bit of pronation, something for you to look at. Does that make sense to you? Yes, okay. And I got a lot of questions at the end and feedback. So that was
amazing.
That was really good. But I really love the individual approach. I'm not a class instructor. I was terrible at that at university when I was doing my personal training certificate on the side. It's like, we're going to do Zumba or step class. I was like, no, we're not going to do that. I can't do that. Oh. So I like more the individual approach of, like, let's work with each individual person and what do they need and where are they and how can we help just go that little bit further.
Gemma, let's talk a little bit about some of the myth busting that you shared early on and dig a little bit deeper into some of those. Pain and mobility. I think frequently we feel that it's just a natural part of getting older, that, oh, I'm going to get aches and pains. My hips hurts, my back hurts, my knees hurt, my wrist hurt. But I don't think that needs to be the case. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I've worked with a lot of women, mostly women, that I met far into their health and fitness journey, or just at the start, but older, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. And we're dealing with pain and the management of pain for a very long time. And this belief, of course, that you start to have if you've lived 10, 15 years in pain, that it's never going to go away. And I remember I had one client and she was 72. And I trained her online. Her name was Sue. She was really lovely. And she was on a painkiller. I forget the name now. What it was called. Daphne, you're good with painkillers.
Prescribed painkillers?
Yes, it was. Oh, I don't remember. It'll come back to me. So she was on that, and she'd been on that for a long time, and she'd had various different injuries, and she'd been in a horrible car accident. And she was really stooped over, and her posture was really not good. And she came because she wanted to lose fat. I was like, how about we work on your pain at the same time? And she was very open to that, and we did a lot of mobility work and just gentle things like walking, putting her hands up against the wall, stretching out her back. And eventually, I think it was about 8 months into our training, I taught her various other things too, like cold showers, but it was a lot of emphasis on mobility and posture. She had completely gotten off the painkillers through the help with her doctor of coming down, and that was amazing. I remember she was crying on the phone to me that she couldn't believe she was out of pain at 72 and dealing with pain since she was in her 30s, 40s.
Which makes us realize that, I mean, how do we encourage people to seek the right resource? Because it's much easier to tell someone you just have to live with it than it is to look for the root cause?
You always say, you have to be your biggest advocate. So we know that these things, they might mask symptoms. And if you need them in the time that you need them, like if you need to take painkillers, then that's where you are, where you are currently. But is this going to solve the problem, or is this just masking the problem? So I think know that there is always a solution to every single problem. And it starts with yourself and being curious. That's how I got into posture and mobility. I learned some tools, but then I was going away and reading and learning and putting pieces together. And know that there is a reason why you have knee pain or why you have hip pain. And for most people, the answer isn't, let's get a hip replacement, let's get a knee replacement. It's preventative. And even if we're at the point where, well, I have it, we can still reverse that. I've had many people come to me like, okay, if this doesn't work, then I'm going to have knee replacement surgery in 9 months. I'm like, okay, so we have 9 months.
Yep.
Let's see what we can do in 9 months.
Yeah. And many probably don't go on to get the surgery.
No, they don't.
And that should be the goal.
So we need them to find us, I think.
I would agree with you, because surgery doesn't always even correct the root cause of what may then be the second surgery that follows, because you haven't corrected their posture, you haven't corrected their pelvic tilt, you haven't corrected. So
Right.
We're putting a Band-Aid on things as opposed to spending the time to really understand what caused this. And sometimes, whether it's overuse, whether it's extensive use, whether it's there are multiple reasons why people may be experiencing this, but without having an opportunity to undergo that assessment, to have a time to see if you can remediate some of the pain, just going into a surgery may not always be the solution. And this is coming from a surgeon.
Yes, so listen to Daphne.
I don't know about that, but one other thing I'd love to touch on before we go into some lightning round questions, because I want to be respectful of your time. You mentioned off camera, before we actually started recording, that even before you had your nutrition degree, one, you were worried about how much protein do I need, and am I going to get enough protein? And then secondly, we were also talking about the fact that we've been trying to grow muscle for years, and so women shouldn't be afraid to work out hard in the gym to gain muscle. What has been your personal journey related to nutrition? The whole conversation around protein is very complex because there's a lot of information out there.
Varied information, yes.
Yes. But what is Gemma's thoughts on, one, protein for women, and then two, is it possible to get too big naturally?
I'm going to answer the first one.
Okay.
The second one first. For what most women want themselves to look like, they are absolutely never going to reach the goal of getting too big. It's just not possible. And I think that this is something that I'd like to think that we know, but we still think maybe I'm the exception to the rule. Maybe I go into the gym and I start lifting heavy, and then overnight, it's also never going to happen overnight. I spent 10 years purposely trying to build a lot of muscle, and I don't have that much on my body for how much I push myself. So we have, 14 times less testosterone than men. It's just, we can get very strong, but we're never going to build the kind of mass that are shown. And I don't know where these images come from. I'm assuming they come from men perhaps that are intimidated by women that are strong. I'm not sure. But these images that we throw out there, like this is what you're going to look like if you do strength training, is so far from the truth. So I would like us to maybe put some more accurate images on there of like, I've been lifting for 15 years and here's what I look like. Because most people would say, oh, that's, you look great, and I would love to look like that. If that's what actually I'm going to look like if I start lifting weights, that's now encouraged me to. And that's just the aesthetic side, because there's so much empowerment, I think, that comes from strength training.
Agreed.
So we're just talking about one single aesthetic part, which is just a tiny fraction of the whole part. And then your other question about protein, remind me again.
As a nutritionist, what are your individual thoughts and how you coach related to what are reasonable daily goals for protein intake for women?
Again, I think it depends on what a woman's goal is. We have a general idea of what it should be for health, what amount we would need to eat for building muscle, if that is our focus, and the amount that we would need if we're focusing on fat loss while retaining muscle. So if I was to look at just a ballpark, for most of my clients, maybe it starts around 70, 80 grams, and then maybe it shoots up to 120. It just really depends on where they are and what their goals are. But usually it's a lot higher than what they think when they come in, but that's because they're eating maybe 30, 40 grams, which, in my opinion, and from my own experience with myself, and with the clients that I've coached, like, let's just increase the protein a little bit and let's see how you feel. And I'm always getting great feedback. Like, I feel so much more satiated. My cravings have reduced. I'm not constantly craving things. My recovery has increased.
That's important.
I am holding on to lean muscle, which we've looked at through DEXA scans, so we know that it's accurate. So there's a whole host of reasons why it's so important to consume protein. And no, it doesn't need to be large amounts, but we do need to make sure that we are prioritizing it.
Agreed. All right. Are you ready for a couple of lightning round questions?
Okay, let me just organize myself.
These are going to be easy.
Okay.
What is your favorite go-to plant-based meal?
Creamed spinach made with like a cashew sauce.
Oh, yum.
With wild rice and tofu, marinated tofu done in like soy sauce.
That sounds delicious. Okay. Your favorite exercise?
Oh, it's the pull-up or the deadlift. I'm not sure.
Tied.
Maybe
pull-up and trap bar deadlift.
Oh, trap bar deadlift.
Yes. Yeah. What is your morning routine non-negotiable?
Can I say if I haven't done it this week because I've been out of my routine at the retreat? I would say it's stretching of some sort, even if it's literally 30 seconds because I'm having my coffee, and it's just that kind of day where if it's not a full routine, it's 100% a stretch. I have to start with a stretch.
That's a good habit to get into. Yeah. Okay. What is a favorite book or podcast that inspires you right now?
I love the self-development section of the bookstore. So for me, I'm listening to Audible by Pema Chodron, where she talks about like releasing emotions, and that it's a tie between that and if I'm having a morning where I need to be motivated because maybe I want to go for a run or go to the gym, then I have David Goggins. That is helping me to get back into running. And they're very, very different things. So like I said, it depends on the morning.
If you weren't a coach, what would you be doing today? Or is this what you've always seen yourself doing?
It's not what I've always seen myself doing. I thought I want to be an athlete. But then it was a very close second. I don't know what it would look like, but certainly something to do with animal rights.
Interesting. Okay.
Because when I think about the things that make me tear up, it's violence against vulnerable, whether it be animals or children. So it would be something in that area, I think.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Final question. What does it mean to you to be a vegan superhero?
being an example
Mm.
to those around you. I don't think we lead by telling. I think we lead by showing.
We aspire to inspire others by our actions. And I think what we are doing at the vegan gym is a form of activism.
I think so too.
By encouraging people, by sharing the message, by having an opportunity for people to come into contact with their best self and to share that with others.
Yes, I agree. And speaking up for those that can't.
Yes, that's important. Yeah. And we try to do that too.
Yeah.
Gemma, is there anything that you would like to share with the community that we haven't had an opportunity to touch on today?
I would love each and every woman to get into strength training, try it out, see how you feel, find something that empowers you and makes you feel strong. I think this idea that strength has to come from within applies, but I think we can also build strength from the outside in, and that's how it worked for me. When I built strength on the outside, I felt more confident to go out into the world and do the things that I struggled to face because my internal self was struggling to override the stories. It was only when I went after them in a physical sense was I able to do that.
So that empowerment that you gain from becoming stronger, it goes back to, and I've heard this multiple times this week, the gym teaches you life. You got stronger in the gym, you got stronger in life.
It does. And when you think you can't do something and then you do it in the gym, it unlocks something that makes you think, well, if I can do that, then I can do this.
And if you can't do it now, it's, I can't do it yet.
Yes. And it teaches you to persevere.
Yeah.
It's not instant gratification. You work hard for something because it's important to you. And everything is a decision. There's always a hard choice no matter what. If I stay at home on the couch, maybe that's very comfortable for me, but I have to maybe live with being in pain. Mm-hmm. Or I can choose to do the things that will prevent that. But maybe it means I don't get to relax as much as I would like to. Mm-hmm. But each day we make a decision of what kind of person we want to be, and what decision we make is certainly going to impact our future self.
It's a little bit of choose your heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gemma, thank you. It's been a delight having you on the podcast. I hope you're a little more comfortable so that maybe we can get you back to talk and share more about what you do about posture, because I can tell just from the number of people that attended your class that people are craving for the knowledge and understanding how they can apply some of the skills and the knowledge and the information that you're sharing with them to their own lives.
That sounds really good. I'll let you know how the mobility masterclass goes.
Okay.
Come back.
Well, I hope you enjoyed getting to know Gemma Schofield as much as I did. And there are a couple of key takeaways that I would like to share with you. One, posture, mobility, flexibility, they should be the foundation of your health program. You need to make sure that you understand your own posture. And if you haven't had an opportunity to have it assessed, definitely you can avail yourself of a coach like Gemma, but use that as a strong foundation from which you can build other elements of your strength and your fitness as part of an overall holistic health program. The other key point that Gemma made is that women can thrive at any age with plant-based nutrition, whether you're 25 or whether you're 85. One, fuel your body well. Two, you can lift heavy. And three, you won't get bulky at any age. So go into the gym, use that as an opportunity not only to strengthen your body, but to strengthen your mind. I really appreciate that you took the time to join us on this episode. And whether you're listening or watching, if you want to learn more about awesome coaches like Coach Gemma or understand more about your own health and fitness, you can join us on the Thrive on Plants community. Just go to thriveonplantslife.com. We'd love to welcome you into the conversation where you can meet other women just like you who are dealing with their health, their fitness, pain, everything that we go through at multiple stages of our life journey. But at Thrive on Plants Life, it's an opportunity for you to join the conversation. And finally, don't forget to like, subscribe, so you can hear every episode of the Thrive on Plants podcast. And until then, I want you to thrive on plants and live with purpose. Be well. The information shared on the Thrive on Plants podcast is intended solely for educational and informational purposes. It is not medical advice, and it should never be used as a substitute for personalized guidance from a qualified healthcare professional. Always consult with your physician or healthcare provider before making any changes to your nutrition, exercise routine, supplement use, or your overall wellness plan. The opinions and advice shared by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Vegan Gym or its team. While we aim to bring you high-quality, thoughtful conversations, these perspectives are not intended to replace professional medical care. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, you have the power to thrive on plants and live with purpose.